So, folks, I have bad news for you. The Trump administration has begun arresting journalists that they find inconvenient. And that's not an exaggeration. Here is a video posted, I guess, very early this morning by a renowned independent journalist, Georgia Fort. And this is in the middle of the night.
Yes. Okay.
These fucking freaks.
Okay, well, this is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac, 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back. So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant. Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant. Okay. And that, to me, what I have been told, is not a judicial warrant that has me to have to open the door for you.
Like, her kids are in the house. Like, her kids are filming this video as like these absolute ghouls like are circling her house looking for any kind of like entry point that they can make use of. Yeah, literal demons. Like there's a part in this where like early on, like right at the beginning here.
Yes.
Like you see this guy and then peek back around, suddenly gone. They're like literal demon possessed creatures. Absolute freaks. So they showed up to allegedly serve a warrant. Here is another video posted by her, Georgia Fort.
Do you want to wear my black boots?
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press. Because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again, I don't have a long time here, you guys, but I wanted you to know, for me, agents are at my door right now. My attorney has spoken with them. I did send a relative outside to talk to them. They're showing some type of documentation, apparently, that they got an indictment from a grand jury. I knew that I was on a defendant's list. I did not publish it because it was under seal. And so we've done everything that we can to try and abide by, the advice of our attorneys. But right now, you guys, I wanted you to know I'm going to have to hop off here and surrender to agents as a member of the press. I filmed the church protest a few weeks ago, and now I'm being arrested for that.
So Georgia Fort is, they come to her house in the dead of night. They like scare her entire family. You can hear her kids like crying and sobbing in the background as she has the presence of mind to record a video before she goes to the Whipple building and gives herself over to agents in her pajamas. You know, like, what a queen. What a queen. And I just want to say all of this is because she was a journalist who attended a protest as a journalist, filming the protesters as they went into a church to disrupt the service in order to protest the fact that one of the pastors at the church is the ICE field director in St. Paul. And these protesters were driven by their Christian faith, that views it as incompatible for a person who professes to be a preacher in the name of Jesus Christ to also be dedicated to the mission of effectively slave catching in the modern era. And so, like, that protest went down. By the way, entirely peaceful protest. Did it disrupt things a little bit? Yes. Was any damage done? No. Was anyone hurt? No. Okay? And what is very interesting here, because obviously it's very weird and unprecedented for them to be like, well, you know, we got a grand jury to indict you over this. And, well, here's what happened. Here's Attorney General Pam Bondi. At my direction early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamail Lindell Lundy in connection with the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. More details soon. They are describing a bunch of people being loud in a church as an attack on the church. Like, it's genuinely insane. It is genuinely insane the way they are trying to frame this. And it is worth noting, by the way, that the indictment is signed by both Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Tom Blanche. Now, this is interesting for a couple reasons, but mainly because attorney generals and the deputy attorney general don't usually sign indictments. They don't usually sign stuff like this. And it's a sign that basically everyone in the DOJ refused to sign this. And it went all the way up the chain until Pam Bondi and her deputy had to sign it. Like, it is unprecedented. There are people who've worked in law for like 30, 40 years who have never seen anything like this. And keep in mind, they're alleging that Don Lemon, Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamail Lindell Lundy are all also part of a criminal conspiracy to attack this church. Again, attack. It is absolute nonsense. And to their credit, the local press is not taking this laying down. Like, the Minnesota Star Tribune issued a statement strongly condemning it, urging for the dropping of charges. The Minnesota Reformer also condemned it, urged the dropping of charges. The Minnesota Society for Professional Journalists condemned it and urged them to drop charges. Like, it's crazy. It is crazy, crazy shit. But I want you all to look at and watch this press conference that happened afterwards, because I think it is very, very important to understand what is unfolding here.
Okay. Pardon me if this is new to me, because normally I'm on that side of the camera. But today, I and many of my colleagues are called to be on this side of the camera. And it is one of the scariest moments of my life and in my career to know that a fellow journalist, a top journalist, an award-winning journalist, a 3-time Emmy award-winning journalist, the only journalist who was in the courtroom during the Derek Chauvin trial. So she is a vetted journalist whose credentials...
Yeah, to be clear, one of Georgia Fort's big claims to fame is that she was the journalist covering the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd. And she is a very well-respected and award-winning journalist for her work. She knows like where kind of the law meets the road, as it were, and she followed the law doing this. So the fact that they can go after her means that they can go after anyone. The fact that they are going after Don Lemon, they can go after anyone. That's what's so scary about this. They could go after me. I'm an outspoken socialist trans woman who lives in Minneapolis and actively every day is reporting on what ICE is doing here and trying to get other folks to organize against their activities. I had to have a talk with my partner today about what happens if ICE comes to our door, or police come to my door, DEA agents come to our door in order to take me, and I'm basically a no one, I'm a nobody in the grand scheme of things here, but like, that's something I have to be aware of now. Like, that's something I have to be afraid of now. And it is very, very scary.
Are impeccable.
Like, I'm now not just scared, like, going outside. I'm not just scared when my partner goes to work. I'm now also scared that when I do my job here, it could bring armed agents to our home.
Is right now sitting in federal custody for doing her duty. She's in custody for doing what you all are doing right at this very moment. I want y'all to hear that. She's in custody for doing what you're doing right now. So if you think for one moment that you are protected, this is the wake-up call to let us know that these don't stop bullets, they don't stop arrest, they don't stop the death threats that we get for doing our job. These don't do a damn thing. And I need all of us to be awake to that fact that Georgia Fort, because I haven't even said her name yet, that Georgia Fort is in federal custody for doing her job. And if we leave here with anything today, let's leave here making sure that the main thing stays the main thing. Journalism is under attack.
Yeah.
Did this go off the rails yet? Are we any closer to 25th Amendment or choppy machines?
We are absolutely not closer to the 25th Amendment yet, because that requires the action of Donald Trump's cabinet. And we all know that his cabinet is, no matter what, come hell or high water, never going to invoke the 25th Amendment. His brain could literally be dribbling out his ears. They wouldn't do it. Big Rackle, thank you for the $5 super chat, though. I do appreciate that.
The First Amendment is under attack.
Yeah.
And democracy is crumbling.
Yep.
Yes.
If we allow this to happen, if we don't speak up in the loudest voice, all of our so-called freedoms, our illusion of freedom goes away. So I know I didn't introduce myself when I started. My name's Harry Colbert Jr. I am the Vice President for the Center of Broadcast Journalism and Power 104.7. Georgia Fort is our...
Like, I'm sorry, this guy is literally one of the guys who is representative of broadcast journalism. Like, understand how serious this situation is. Like, and also understand that the legal challenge against Georgia Fort and against Don Lemon and against the other two people who were taken into custody is doomed to fail. Understand that. Like, there's no winning this in the courts for the Trump administration. But that's not the point. The point is to take them into custody, to drain them of their resources, to prevent them from doing their work. It is, in fact, to silence them using the state. It is to infringe on their right to speech, their right to act as journalists. It's not even just intimidation, it is active silencing by making them so busy covering and handling their legal affairs that they can no longer, do what they do. And it's to intimidate folks like me into silence because out of fear that maybe they'll come for me. And I certainly don't have the resources to fight in the way that Don Lemon would, or even in the way that Georgia Fort would. And Georgia Fort is nowhere near as able to fight these as Don Lemon. It's very, very scary, guys.
President of the Center of Broadcast Journalism, and she has her own entity, Black Press.
And the thing is, everyone here understands the threat that is being posed. The threat is, if we can do this to you, we can do this to anybody. Effectively, we can try and bully every single journalist in Minnesota into the dirt with the billions of dollars at the disposal of the state. It's not going to change what we do. It is going to put additional burdens on all of us, and it is very scary. Who knows what happens when they take you into custody at the Whipple building? Like, genuinely.
And Georgia Fort. With that being said, I'm first going to ask a longtime activist, a past president of the NAACP, to speak. We're going to have several members of the media that are going to come and speak to you, and then a couple of members of Georgia's family would like to make brief statements.
I just want to say, I know it's totally beside the point, but absolute icon in this snowsuit. Absolute fucking icon.
Grace and peace, everyone. Again, my name is Leslie E. Redmond, and I cannot tell you how outraged I am to be standing in this same place again. For many of us, we still here in 2020 after the murder of Brother George Floyd. We stayed here too many times to count. And we said then that it was a state of emergency. I want you all to know that the emergency is still ongoing. When you have journalists being arrested for reporting, when you have truth tellers being held captive, we are under a state of emergency. And you're gonna have to ask yourself, what are you doing right now? We talk about what we would have done if we were around when slavery was going on in the Underground Railroad. Well, this is it right now. We are under attack. Georgia's family is here. And I want to tell you all that I was talking to Sister Georgia, and she was afraid of being arrested. And I told her, they're not going to arrest journalists. They tried that with Don Lemon. It didn't work. And now Don Lemon and Georgia Fort are under arrest. We are under attack. We are being targeted, and it's not just individuals. Our democracy is under attack. Our Constitution is under attack. This is not a joke. This is not a drill. And I want for everybody that's watching across the nation to know that you are next. Minnesota is holding the line, and we can't hold it by ourselves.
This is why I keep telling you guys, we need to organize. Get organized in your local area. Join your Dems. Join your local DSA. Get to your local city council meetings. Start showing the fuck up. Because they're not going to stop here, guys. They're going to try and do this every damn place. Every damn place. And there is no one coming to save us. There's no Democrat in the, the Chuck Schumer wing of the Democratic Party who's going to do it. It's got to be us. So you got to step up, each and every one of you, wherever you're at. And what do you think about the reporting that Alex was on a list and they picked him out? It wouldn't shock me if they have kill lists. I don't think they have kill lists. I do think that they have lists. According to Ken Klippenstein, it's kind of a patchwork system of lists. But what I do think is that the most important part isn't whether or not he was on a list. The most important part was that he stood up for what was right. And they, being emblematic of everything that is wrong in our country and our government right now, saw something standing up that was good and knew instinctively that they needed to kill it. Full stop. That is what these ICE agents exist to do. They saw someone doing a good and righteous thing, and instead of backing off, they felt the instinctive need to destroy, because these people have been selected to enforce white supremacy. And when they see someone stand between them and beating a woman, they know that that is their enemy. They know that someone who is good of heart, someone who is brave, someone who's courageous and willing to stand up to them, they understand that that man is someone who is a direct threat to them being able to enact violence on the community. And they kill them for it. So I think it's less to do with any kind of list and more to do with the fact that they're all drunk on power. They all think they can do anything they fucking want and that they can get away with it. And so far, they're right. But we need to get organized, and we need to make sure that we live and bring about a future where they are no longer right and they are in fact wrong and held to account for every single fucking sin they enact upon our communities. Every single journalist they take, every single life they take, every single thing that they take from us, they must repay it back tenfold.
This is not a black people or white people or religion or age or any of these things. We are fighting for human rights. We are fighting for our humanity and our democracy, and nobody fought harder for that than Georgia. She is the ultimate professional. She is so intentional, but we saw after Alex was killed on Saturday, journalists were being tear gassed. King Demetrius, who's going to speak to you, has a boot on right now. They are not paying attention to passes, badges, and they're not paying attention to our democracy and our Constitution. And I want to tell y'all, we have to stand for something or fall for anything. This is a state of emergency, and I'm wondering where our leadership is. Where is Governor Walz? Where is Mayor Fry? Where are all of our representatives? And if you want to run for office and you're not standing with community, you don't have a shot. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of standing up here. And Georgia is a wife. She is a mother. She's a business owner. She's a journalist. She should not be in jail right now. And everybody should be outraged about that. This does not make any sense. This is real trauma. This is not a joke. Trump, this is not a show. This is not a game. This is people's real life. And I want everybody, the world is watching Minnesota once again. Once again, we're under the microscope because we're not being protected and we can't get it right. And it's not on the community.
Don't mean to be picky, but it was Border Patrol. They are functionally the same. Like, I understand that there is a difference between where Border Patrol and where ICE can operate and what they can do on paper, but functionally on the ground here in Minnesota, there is no difference between ICE or CBP. Like, there's like the differences have been blurred to the point of it being immaterial which organization you are part of. They're both doing the same shit. And they're both here to do the same shit.
And nothing's burnt to the ground. Y'all always making excuses. Y'all want to act like this is us against them. No, we're under attack. And the people have not even begun to fight back. We can't even record. We can't even stand. We can't even live. People can't leave their houses.
ICE just grabbed journalists. Well, technically it was the DEA under Pam Bondi.
People are losing their jobs. People are afraid.
Like, the thing is, right? Like, when protesters are going, ICE out, ICE out, ICE out, right? They're not saying ICE out, and they mean, oh, well, but Customs and Border Patrol can stay. No. When we're saying ICE out, we're not just saying, like, when we have this sign up, we're not just meaning, oh, we only want ICE gone, but CBP, you can stay. You're doing good work, baby girl. You keep doing what you're doing. Like, no. It's a catch-all. Border Patrol shouldn't be on Minneapolis streets. They're supposed to be at the border. except that Border Patrol also operates within 100 miles of any international airport. So we have an international airport here. And also the Great Lakes count as, 100 miles from any edge of the Great Lake, Lake Superior. So, like, it is, again, functionally within their purview, and functionally almost everywhere within the United States that CBP can operate. And again, within those zones of operation, they're functionally no different than ICE right now.
And Georgia had the courage to record it. And now she's arrested. Where is our constitutional rights? We are under attack, and you all better wake up before it's too late to wake up. It's not a joke, it's not a drill. When journalists are getting arrested, you all better be afraid.
Yep.
This is a state of emergency. And not the same one from 2020. This is a different state of emergency. This is like any of us could get taken at any moment.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling to be walking around the city right now as somebody whose primary job is talking about the news and politics. As a socialist trans woman, I feel extremely unsafe and vulnerable. It's super not cool.
They're coming for all of us. Anybody who...
That's not to say that I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Because fuck ICE, fuck Customs and Border Patrol, and fuck Kristi Noem and fuck Stephen Miller. I'll keep doing this till they show up at my door. Then I'll keep doing it after that. But, like, I'm not going to lie and say it's not worrisome and not scary. It is extremely worrisome and extremely scary.
Has the courage to stand up and speak out. And to my believers, where is the faith community at? You all let Nakima and Chantel and William and all these people put their lives on the line, saying the hypocrisy of a pastor also being the head of ICE in St. Paul. If Jesus was here, he would be flipping tables, so why aren't y'all? This is a different day. This is a different state of emergency. And
I love her. I listened to this earlier today. She's 100% correct.
HWITENESS for a moment more.
Thank you very much for supporting the show, Eddie666. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Y'all, you guys make this show possible. Couldn't do it without your support. Thank you all so much. Genuinely, thank you.
none of us are safe. Journalists, none of y'all are safe. White people, black people, indigenous, Asian, nobody is safe. Georgia,
because they're just snatching folks. Like, I keep saying this, and I don't think like the white folks outside of Minnesota understand that they're just taking people. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to give them a reason. They're just taking you. Hold up, the pastor is in ICE. Yeah, one of the pastors for the church that Don Lemon and Georgia Fort were recording the protest that was directed towards this church. And that church has a pastor that is the ICE field director in St. Paul. So literally someone who is both the pastor, a pastor at this church, and who on their off time is, directing operations to disappear members of the community. It is disgusting.
Georgia Fort, of all people, I would have never thought Georgia Fort would be arrested right now. She has kids, she has a husband, she has a family. This is not a drill or a joke. I'm gonna ask Georgia's daughter to introduce herself and this her husband and just say a couple words.
Hello, my name is Araya Hammonds, and I'm sorry if I stutter or if I say anything too fast. This is my first time ever doing anything like this. Georgia Fort is my mom, and we are here to call for her immediate release. My mom has been a documenter and a member of the press for as long as I can remember.
Aren't there laws against this? I don't know, genuinely. Yeah, there are laws called the strongest laws in our country, called the United States Constitution, which guarantees freedom of speech and specifically covers journalism as one of the sacrosanct uses of speech. and the Trump administration is just rounding up journalists that they personally have beef with for, essentially criminalizing their journalism coverage. It is extremely illegal to do what they're doing, but the issue is, and what the Trump administration has realized, is that there's no penalty for them breaking their own law. There's no penalty for the federal government, really, to break their law, right? Like, if it is found that they broke the law, all they have to do is release the people they arrested or drop the charges and then go about their merry way. There's no one is left to like pay a fine out of their own pocket. No one is fired from their jobs. No one is punished in any real way that matters to any of the people involved. Maybe embarrassed, maybe professionally decline in standing, but like oh, laws against an ICE pastor? No laws, at least no laws of the land here. I would argue it violates every kind of every kind of moral and ethical law that I'm aware of, but no written law in this country.
Being alive for 17 years. My mom is being arrested for documenting what happened at City Church. And this is wrong. This goes against her First Amendment right as a journalist, and it's being challenged today. She is not a protester. She is not an activist. She is a mom working to provide for her children through the only way she knows how. Documenting and sharing stories of the community and truth of what's happening here every day in our state. This moment of history just doesn't affect me. It also affects my little sisters who had to wake up and comprehend at the ages of 7 and 8 why their mom had to be arrested today. My 7 and 8-year-old sister woke up today without a mom. My father woke up today without his wife. I'm demanding that my mom gets released. The separation of families will never be right. Thank you.
God bless you.
Did you want to speak? Oh, I apologize.
I just want to, I'm going to keep it brief and short. I'm Ceriso Fort. I'm the husband of Georgia Fort. I'm going to keep it, like I said, brief and short. I really want to thank you all for coming out, and I want y'all to have courage and continue doing what y'all doing, because I watch Georgia. I support her. Behind the scenes, a lot of stuff I'm there, I'm watching, I'm supporting her. But yeah, like I said, I don't understand what can go down to the point where, you gotta arrest a journalist for doing their job. She's just doing her.
Like, I feel so bad for her family. Like, her kid is like breaking down. Like, her husband is clearly like worried, like out of his mind, like justifiably. Like, I can't imagine being in their shoes. It's terrifying anytime someone disappears into the Whipple building, but like, especially when we're talking uncharted territory, like taking journalists. Oh my God.
Her work. She not harming nobody, not hurting nobody. I know some individuals that hurt people that, I don't understand that. When it's that way, I understand, right? When there's she's not harming no one. So I really, 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 it hurt.
If you feel bad for the traumatized children in the church that day who saw people yelling, that's understandable. I feel bad for them too. I feel a lot worse for the children who have been ripped out of their parents' arms by ICE agents under the direction of the pastor of that church, though. I feel a lot worse about that aspect.
As I'm pulling off to take my 7 to 8-year-old, my daughter, we driving, I'm getting stopped, 10 cars, come. I didn't want them to see this. They were asleep earlier. Now they got to see this. Oh man, that wasn't cool, So it's like understanding that what we up against right now is really affecting the human rights. And us as people, we got to stand strong. We got to continue to stay prayed up right now. In this time era, right now, what we're dealing with, we got to stay prayed up. And I want to, like I said, once again, man, thank you all for coming out, and thank you all that's out there that's supportive of what we're doing. Thank you.
God bless you, brother. God bless you.
Okay, the next person that I want to bring is the current president of the National Association of Black Journalists, Minnesota, Cherie Curry.
Yeah. I do have to say, I know that they must have thrown this together in very short order, but the lineup of people that they got together to speak out against this heinous overreach by the federal government is, I think, like, necessary viewing. And I'm going to link this here, actually, for all of you to share around on your various social feeds, with your friends, your family, etc., because I think that this is kind of essential viewing. If you are looking to understand what is happening here in Minnesota, what is happening here that is emblematic of what is happening in the rotting heart of our country, this is necessary viewing. And they got a bunch of people who can articulate that very well.
Also, yeah, thank you all for coming out. Cherie Curry, Sheree, Curry, Curry. I am co-president of the National Association of Black Journalists Minnesota chapter, and Georgia Ford is one of our vice presidents of this chapter, and we demand the immediate release of her and for all charges to be dropped. She, as Harry had said earlier, she is an award-winning journalist. She has covered demonstrations throughout her career, including the protests that erupted after the murder of George Floyd. The First Amendment protects the press and enables journalists to be able to do their jobs, to be able to collect, publish, and disseminate information that is important for all of our readers, our listeners, our viewers to understand what's going on. And Georgia was doing her job. She had boots on the ground. It is very important that people like her, independent journalists especially, be protected. They do not have the same type of backing as an independent journalist as someone would who works for a media outlet. So we are outraged for this and for her family. And I hope all of you will feel the same, who hears what happens to her, and know that if it is about attacking a journalist, it is attacking all of us.
So what are they being charged with? A grand jury indicted Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, as well as two others, one of whom I believe is running for city council. I need to double check that, but in Minneapolis. But basically, they're alleging that there was a conspiracy to interfere with the First Amendment rights of the worshipers in the church, and that these four journalists were instrumental in that conspiracy. So that's their argument. And I'm guessing that conspiracy charges are being brought because then you don't have to prove or even attempt to prove that the person who you are saying was in on the conspiracy did anything themselves. They can say, well, other people who were there did these things, and because you were in on the conspiracy, you are partially responsible for what they did. But interestingly, none of these other protesters that were there are getting charged. And it's just very transparently clear that, like, this is just to go after Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And, like, it's transparently disgusting. They're throwing them under the bus. I mean, they're kind of, but, like, it's less throwing them under the bus. Like, that, I feel like throwing someone under the bus is like taking an ally who's not expecting it and throwing them under a bus. Whereas this is just attacking them. Like, this is just, you're driving a bus and trying to drive the bus into them. You know? Does that make sense as a distinction? Yeah.
Citizens. Thank you.
Elisa? Mm-hmm. And I apologize because I'm going to mispronounce your last name. All right.
My name is Alisa Kuznetsov, Aleesakuz, N as in Nancy, E, T as in Tom, S-O, V as in Victor. I am the president-elect of the Minnesota Society of Professional Journalists. Our president couldn't be here today. The Minnesota Society of Professional Journalists strongly condemns the wrongful arrests of journalists Georgia Fort and Don Lemon for reporting on a church protest in St. Paul. Georgia Fort, as many have already said, is an Emmy Award-winning journalist who has paved the way for independent journalism here in Minnesota. As a founder of Black Press and the Center for Broadcast Journalism, and a former member of our board, Georgia is a pillar of our Minnesota journalism community. She has a passion for making the profession more accessible and has mentored and trained countless young journalists. We are alarmed by the escalating actions by the Trump administration that attack freedom of the press. Journalists not only have the right, but the responsibility to observe and report events in the public interest. It is not illegal to document a protest against the federal government. The fact that the protest took place in a church does not negate journalists' First Amendment right to report. The effort to punish independent reporting is an effort to weaken democracy. If Georgia and Don's cases proceed, it would seriously...
They charged the organizers. My understanding was that, much like the charge that was against Don Lemon initially, a magistrate judge rejected the charges against Don Lemon initially, and also blocked charges for two other protesters, or two protesters, and then Don Lemon, a journalist, also had his charges blocked. So I'm not sure. It's not. I watched that protest. There were a lot of people who participated, and so far, I know one woman, a reverend, was charged, but I don't know if that charge has been dropped. I don't know how that process is unfolding yet. Yeah, it's really, really messy. All I'm saying is they probably know who participated in this, but they haven't been able to leverage any of charges against the participants. They're obviously trying to charge the people who organized it and the journalists, but they're going to run into some pretty big legal problems doing both those things. There's just not a whole lot to go on here.
Undermine both the freedom of the press and the rule of law. We urge the federal government...
Oh yeah, Putin arrests and murders journalists, which is why this is extremely scary. Because once they're in federal custody, we know that the federal government and ICE agents have killed, or CBP agents have killed people in their custody. In fact, there was recently, as last week, like a medical examiner ruled that a death in a detainment facility was a homicide by the people detaining these folks. People have been dying at astonishing rates in ICE custody, and it's a really dangerous time right now.
To remember the importance of the First Amendment, the Minnesota Society of Professional Journalists has recorded several acts of violence against journalists from federal law enforcement in the last month. The failure to stop these acts sets a dangerous precedent for censoring the truth. The Minnesota Society...
Well, Putin pivoted from killing journalists to, killing 1.2 million, or killing or maiming 1.2 million of Russia's youth, So he decided to go big, I guess.
Professional journalists will continue its commitment to protect press freedom and advocate for any journalists in our state who experience a First Amendment violation. Thank you, and we'll have a full statement posted on our website, mnspj.org, later today.
Thank you. We're going to hear from our current Minneapolis NAACP president.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Wilson, current president of the Minneapolis NAACP. And you've heard already what's been said. We definitely stand in solidarity with our journalist, and specifically Georgia Fort, as she has been an integral part of providing the news for the Black community. Mm-hmm. That being said, I also want to say that what you're seeing now and what we're experiencing is a pivot away from what's happening with our democracy. And if we allow this to happen now, this is not a Republican, this is not a Democratic, this is not a black or white, as you already heard, this is a humanity issue. And what we're experiencing, you all, and you have to recognize it, even for the most people who are not even, brilliant or can't see clearly, this is blatant as it gets. Number 47 is out to be a dictator. And he is looking to take away all of our rights. Everyone who voted him in, he's voting you out. So what I would say, we have another election coming up. We need to prepare to vote, to get our voices heard, and to make sure that we're doing what's necessary to make sure our democracy stays a democracy and not a dictatorship.
Hell yeah. We need to get fucking organized, guys. This is what I keep saying over and over and over again every night. We have to get organized. Because if you think that this is going to stay in Minnesota, if you think this is going to stay in Minneapolis, that they aren't going to come after journalists elsewhere, you're wrong. This is going to spread like a cancer across the entire country if we don't stop it here. And we're going to try and hold it as long as we can. But we might not be able to hold it here. You guys got to get organized in your cities, your towns, wherever you go, wherever you are, you got to get organized. If you need help doing that, join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy for help joining your local DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems. We need to get organized, folks. It is vitally important that we start showing up at meetings, that we start showing up at town halls, that we start showing up at our city council meetings and our school board meetings. It is important that we start showing up and building these bonds of commonality between us so that we can show up and defend each other when these absolute ghouls from the federal government show up in our homes and try to take our people and our neighbors. It is vital self-defense to get organized now. Okay? One of the reasons we are able to hold up so well here in Minneapolis and in Minnesota broadly is because we have already done a lot of this organizing work. A lot of folks got involved after George Floyd. But you know what? Not everywhere got that organized. Not everyone did that. Yo, you need to start stepping up wherever you are. Because if they're not here yet, they're gonna be. So please, I'm begging you guys, for the sake of your personal safety, for the sake of your neighbors' safety, for the sake of our democracy, get organized. There's more of us than there are of them. Get organized.
That being said, we're standing in support of Georgia Floyd, and we're asking that she be released immediately. And at that point, I'll turn it back over to the hands. Thank you.
We've been talking about journalists being on the front line, and we see right now what's happening with Georgia, who's in federal custody. I got to say that one more time, because while we're here not in custody, she's over there in custody. But you all, many of you, know exactly what we're talking about because you experienced it. But I have someone here who is wearing a boot on his foot because he was shot by federal agents while doing his job as a journalist. So with that being said, I'm going to ask King Demetrius to come speak.
What's up? Appreciate y'all. I just want to let you all know how touched and moved I am by Georgia Ford and how she has always spoke power to truth. And like everyone said, she is an award-winning journalist.
Can I just say, I really appreciate his beanie. The fuckery continues. Dude's keeping it real.
That's it right there. She has family. She has children who had to watch something as tomfoolery of this happening. Coming to her home in the broad daylight and trying to make like she is a criminal, like she did something that was totally off the Richter scale. Obama couldn't have did any of this, just so we clear. He wore a tan suit and America lost their damn mind. Journalists is being attacked on a day-to-day basis. We've seen Trump with his sycophants individuals who are basically discriminating on anybody. When you've seen people being dragged, especially women, being dragged, being tear gassed, being pepper sprayed. When you're seeing a person discharging his firearm and saying, this is a B, right? After he kills her, shoots her in her face. When you see an individual kicks a tail light, then several days later get gunned down, and there's no outrage, but yet you go back and the January 6th thing that happened, you didn't have no energy for them, but peaceful protesters who went into a church and called a spade for what a spade was, you put the immediate force on them.
Wow. And
you put the immediate force.
And the journalists who documented the incident.
The journalists who documented the incident that occurred and was doing their job, you immediately went after them. Georgia Ford indicated to 300,000 black women has lost their job. Now it's over 500,000 black women has lost their job since the administration has been in the White House. I want you all to understand something and understand something now. Our children will not forget your name. These ICE agents who are doing this here and all these other individuals who's making preposterous statements, we see you. We see the individuals who's being real quiet. We see you. But trust and believe me, we serve a higher power that looks high, sits high and looks low. Trust me, they will not get away with this. The shooting me in my foot, I'm just grateful that I still have my foot. Some people been shot in their eyes is out, their foot, they having trauma. Just think about what's gonna happen to our children. Our children is watching this. Who's gonna help us with our trauma? I would say the words of what Sonia Massey say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Hallelujah.
That dude was spitting. That dude absolutely nailed that. We're gonna remember your names, motherfuckers. We're gonna remember your goddamn names. And if we don't have your names, we're gonna remember your faces. And if we don't have your faces, we're gonna remember your eyes. We're gonna figure out who was here and who did what. And when all is said and done, we will hold each and every one of these absolute monsters to account for what they did. To stand by every single thing they did when they thought they were so big they were beyond the law.
And now we're going to have representatives from AAJA.
Hi, I'm Alex Chip, and I'm the president of our local Asian American Journalists Association chapter. And
hello, I'm Deanna Pistono, and I am the secretary of AAJA Minnesota.
We just want to say that AAJA stands with other news organizations here today and calls for the immediate release of Georgia Fort and the dropping of charges against her. We are observers and documenters of what goes on in our communities, including the exercise of the right to assemble and protest. The Constitution...
what he was referring to when he said, hundreds of thousands of black women are gone from the workforce, probably something like this. No friends in the pipeline, why 300,000 black women were pushed out of the workforce. This is from August of last year. Yeah, 300,000 black women have exited the American labor force in the last 3 months. And federal job cuts, dismantling of DEI programs, and basically also just systemic isolation from support networks that would typically support white folks, white women, etc. That exclusion means that these changes hit black working women way more. Yeah, it was from the Doge anti-DEI push. Yeah.
Says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of people to assemble peaceably. The spirit of the Constitution, the same fundamental document that people bring up in a multitude of political discussions, is not upheld when journalists are arrested for observing and covering protests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
We're going to hear from a couple other people. Brother Jelani from CARE, Minnesota.
Jaylani Hussein, Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. First and foremost, I want to take an opportunity just to tell the family in Georgia Fort that your mom is an amazing person.
Yes.
Not only that, the fact of the matter, we just spent the day with her yesterday. She was covering the press conferences and all of the different things that were happening. And that's who Georgia Fort is. And what they did today is they inched her name to the unerasable history books for generations to know your mom because of her bravery and because of her standing up for her community. America, wake up. Truth is under attack. Our Constitution is under attack. And Minnesota is the front lines to defend democracy.
Yeah, it is.
They will not be able to arrest all of us.
Come on.
Because in this moment, this is a trap for them. They thought that we would be soft, but we are not. The attack on the press, the attack on peaceful protesters must end.
Yep.
And right now, as many of you probably have learned, not only is Don Lemon arrested, Georgia Fort is arrested, but also 2 other civil rights leaders in Minnesota arrested, Jamel Lundy and Troy Heron Cruz. 2 people that Minnesota knows, and many of you know, who have stood up tall for their community. And today they are being targeted for standing up for their community. Shame on America, and shame on the Trump administration.
Shame.
But this is something that is interesting to say to all of you, is that they started out by targeting my community, the Somali American community. They didn't stop there. They took Renee and Alex Preddy. It didn't stop there. They went and targeted our civil rights leaders, Nakima Levy Armstrong and Chantel Allen. It didn't stop there. They went for our journalists, Georgia Fort and Don Lemons. And I want you to know something, America. It has always been the black community in this country that has stood tall and have paid the highest price for all Americans. For all Americans. And in this moment is 2 black journalists who are taking it for all the journalists in America. I have a message for the journalists in this country. Stop pandering to this administration. Stop giving them the voice that they don't need.
Hell yeah.
You have allowed them to create headlines that are false and lies. They are lying to the American public about everything that is happening. And you have allowed for them to get away with lies every single day. It is time to stand up. If you didn't stand up for the Somali American community or our civil rights leaders, you should stand up for your colleagues in journalism. In this moment right now, we are demanding justice, a swift justice. And I call upon the judges and the people in the courts of America. They are coming for you next. It is stand for you to uphold the law and the Constitution of the United States of America. This moment will pass. And we will be better for it. We're in the fight. We're not leaving the fight. And I'm going to let you know we are winning. Because what they did to Georgia Fort will not stand in any American court system or to Don Lemons. So I ask every single one of you in this moment, be outraged, but be organized. And we are expecting people to show up here at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock to stand up for our brothers and sisters right now who are being detained unjustly. All because they stood up for us, but most importantly, they stood up for the Constitution of the United States. Today's a dark day in American history, but tomorrow we will define what that history will be by Americans standing up for journalism in this country. For far too long, many of you have been kicked out of the White House. You have allowed for that to happen, the lies to come out. But I'll tell you something about Minnesota. God chose us to carry the burden of America and to fight for justice. And it's not by accident that they took Georgia Fort, because she's an amazing journalist. Not only did she care deeply about her community, but she went to become independent journalist, award-winning. And she is one of those people that many of you will learn about her. She's passionate. She cares deeply about this community, and I have seen her work every single day. We're proud of you, Georgia. Yeah. We're proud of her family. Yeah. We're proud of Don Lemon. We're proud of all the people that they are arresting, because all they're doing is inching their names into the books of history for many to remember the courage that Georgia had, the courage that Don Lemon had, the courage that Nakima had, and Chantel, and Jamel, and Terry Hearns. And we say to all of them, we will fight for your justice by any means necessary.
Okay, I'm going to bring up Professor Dr.
Like, I'm sorry, this entire press conference that they threw together in a matter of hours is just straight food for my soul. Like, this is, it's like a breath of fresh air to cut through all the bullshit. All the bullshit we're inundated with every day. It is food for my soul.
Uhuru Williams, Brother Williams.
Thank you. Uhuru Williams here for Scholars for Justice. My friends, we're here today because something fundamental is at stake. And I want to be very clear about what this moment represents. In a democracy, the press is not a nuisance. It is not an inconvenience. It is not an adversary to be neutralized. The press is a constitutional safeguard, a guardrail, the fourth estate. It is one of the few institutions explicitly protected in the First Amendment, named alongside speech, religion, and assembly, because the founders understood something essential. Power left unexamined becomes power abused. As a historian, I can say without hesitation that when governments begin to treat journalists as threats rather than witnesses, we are entering dangerous territory. In moments of crisis, whether during the Red Scare, the Civil Rights Movement, or the protests against the Vietnam War, authorities have too often responded not with transparency, but with suppression. They have labeled dissent dangerous, they have framed security as subversion, and they have sought to control the narrative rather than confront the truth. History does not look kindly on those moments. In fact, my friends, the pursuit of truth is not a crime, bearing witness is not incitement, asking questions is not obstruction. It is the work of an independent press. It is the foundation of democracy. It is the bedrock of the principles that animate our democratic republic. And when they crumble, we all are in jeopardy. And I want to be clear, my friends. If an independent journalist can be detained for doing their job without clear and compelling evidence of wrongdoing, then we're not simply talking about one case, we're talking about precedent. And precedent is how erosion happens. It does not happen all at once. It happens incrementally. First, it's the independent journalist. Then it's the credentialed reporter. Then it's the protester. Then it's the citizen with the camera phone. And before long, the line between public safety and suppression becomes blurred. We will not normalize injustice in this community because that would mean that we would be complicit in the erosion and destruction of our democracy.
Come on.
Because see, my friends, democracy depends on friction. It depends on challenge. It depends on individuals willing to question authority and institutions willing to withstand that questioning. That's the enterprise. That's what Georgia's work represented in this community. And when the state, in this case the federal government, uses its power to detain a journalist engaged in lawful reporting, it sends a chilling message not just to that individual, but to every reporter, to every scholar, to every witness, to every citizen, that we are no longer a democracy. My friends, they want to send a message to us that silence is safer, But silence has never been safer. Silence has only made injustice more durable. We cannot allow malicious or overboard prosecution, whether by intent or effect, to become the tool through which scrutiny is discouraged. The Constitution does not protect comfortable speech. It protects contested speech. It protects inconvenient speech. It protects the kind of inquiry that unsettles power. That was George's work.
And I want to say, I see the comments, and I have made this point earlier that I see your comment, Granny the Hun. I think any judge worth their salt would instantly throw this crap out on its head, which is true, right? Like, that is a true statement. The issue is the administration isn't doing this to actually convict them. The administration is doing this and sending armed agents to their house and abducting them and spiriting them away to a known place of torture and abuse in order to intimidate them. Oh, girly girl, shut the fuck up. Every time you come in here, you're like, there's no hope. Shut the fuck up. The journalists in this community who have been arrested by federal agents at gunpoint in front of their whole family are still having the will to fight. They still believe there's hope. You cannot give up hope. Stop it. Stop it. Do not give in to exactly what this administration is trying to get you to do. Stop it. Like, you can acknowledge it's scary and worrisome, absolutely, but stop saying there's no hope. Like, goddamn. People have overcome so much more oppression than we are under right now. Like, I'm sorry, if you're like an impoverished African-American sharecropping family in the Deep South under Jim Crow, guess what? Those communities didn't lose hope. They continued to organize, and they prevailed. I come from a family of like potato farmers and like poor as dirt preachers. Like, the idea that we're all hopeless right now, that we are powerless, that is exactly what they want us to believe. The idea that our voices, our bones, our muscle, our actions are pointless, that is propaganda from this administration to your ears, and you've put it in your heart, and you believe it to be true. You heard the voice of Donald Trump tell you that it's hopeless, and you believed him. Stop it. That man is a goddamn liar in every aspect of his life. His administration is full of liars. Do not do this. Like, I fucking live here in Minneapolis. I live in the same city where Georgia Fort was taken today. I'm scared. I'm still doing my job. It's the least I can do. And like, my partner is not white. Every time she goes out to work, I get scared. But we don't just give up and die, because it's not hopeless. Stop it. Like, when I see, like, I gotta be honest, when I see people say it's hopeless, I see them spitting on all of the effort and work that I see people in this city, in this state, putting in every goddamn day. You spit on every single one of these people who showed up to speak out and warn the country about what is happening here, because it is specifically not hopeless. I'm so angry all the time at what is happening right now, but I'm especially angry at people who give up and who are not just content to give up themselves, but who come in to other communities and try to get other people to give up with them. You are actively doing the work of the administration. Stop it.
That's King Demetrius's work.
Yes.
That's your work.
Yes.
If we allow the detention of journalists to become normalized, we risk hollowing out one of the core pillars of democratic accountability. And once hollowed out, institutions do not easily recover. Let me conclude by saying today that a free press is not a luxury. It is not ornamental. It is essential to the infrastructure for democracy. If we care about truth, we must protect those who pursue it. If we care about justice, we must ensure that We must ensure that prosecution is never weaponized to silence scrutiny.
Yes.
And if we care about the future of this democracy, we must be vigilant in defending the freedoms that sustain it, even and especially when they're tested. This is a test. Georgia, Ford, and Minnesota are the canary in the coal mine. We intend that they'll become the phoenix that rises not from the ashes, but from the bloom of resistance. Thank you.
If these people can manage to have hope, so can you.
We're going to hear for two more people, and then we'll open it up for any questions that we have.
My name is Rod Adams. I'm the executive director of the New Justice Project Minnesota, and also a fellow Bush Fellow and New Sons Fellow and friend of Georgia Fort. The thing I want to say is, George Floyd, and also in this moment with the ICE occupation, thousands of media outlets descend upon Minneapolis. But before in between those times, who told our stories? Georgia.
Yes.
Who told the stories that no one else wanted to tell about black people?
Georgia.
Who told the stories that no one wanted to hear? Georgia. Because the truth is real, and Georgia is a truth teller.
Yes, she is.
And I'll say now, you can lock up a truth teller, but you can't lock up the truth. America has a problem. The first sign of a crumbling democracy is attack on free speech. The First Amendment is not only the reason folks can speak out freely, but it's the reason why I am a free person today. The First Amendment allowed people to protest slavery. The First Amendment allowed unions to form and to fight for the protections that we have today. Without the First Amendment, what are we? This country is supposed to be built on freedom and democracy. But I look around and I want to ask you, where is this freedom you speak of? Where is this democracy you speak of? And if it does exist, who does it exist for? Georgia is a hero. Georgia, from community events to the midst of tear gas and flashbangs and rubber bullets flying around, Georgia was there. When no one else paid attention to black Minnesota, Georgia paid attention. So we're going to stand up for black press, and we're going to stand up for black women.
That's right.
We find ourselves at the edge. And the only way in which we can push ourselves back is if people stand up. So if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, this is the time in which we have to stand up against this federal administration that has made clear to us it does not care about our constitutional rights, it does not care about the Constitution, and it does not care about the future of working people, it does not care about the future of the free press in this country. So the question remains, which side are you on? The question remains, how far will you go to protect the freedoms that you have been gifted, that my ancestors died for in this country?
Which side are you on?
If it starts with Georgia, next is you. If it starts with Don Lemon, next is you.
Which side are you on?
Our freedoms are not inherent. They were fought for. Blood spilled on this ground for our freedoms.
Which side are you on?
So if we allow this to happen, who are we as a people? Who are we as a country? And to say that you believe in the American dream, if you're a Republican, Democrat, etc., and you do not stand up for Georgia Fort and the folks who are arrested today, I cannot believe you, and no one should. To give voice to the voiceless is the work of Georgia Fort. And until they are freed, this group of people and thousands more who you'll see later will be standing on the front line. Release Georgia Fort. Thank you.
God, what an incredible lineup of speakers here. When did this conference happen? This happened, I think, like 11 a.m. today. Maybe like noon today, somewhere in there. Incredible work by the community. Just incredible work.
Okay, we've got one more person who's going to speak. We're going to take questions, but in addition to...
I'm going to link this one more time, folks, just so you can share it around again. credit to Care 11 here for actually having a camera out to record all of this. I want to make sure this gets as much traction as possible here.
Free Georgia Fort. What we also are saying is we don't need her being charged at all.
Yeah.
Get her out right now. But we're saying that these charges need to be dropped. They are fallacious, and this is absolutely, I'm gonna call it what it is. TV, if y'all live, y'all live. This is some bullshit.
That part.
And real quick, before that last speaker come up, for anybody that's watching right now, I want you all to know that your silence is not going to keep you safe, right? It's not a coincidence that we're marking the 1 year since the Target boycott and when corporations started to abandon the black community, right? After they stood firm in 2020. Me and Georgia had conversations about this, of how they've abandoned media, how they abandoned community. And we have to pose a question, where are the corporation? Where are the faith leaders? Where are the leaders, right? Even when it comes to music, I see people like Nicki Minaj pandering and playing with Trump. It's not a joke. You all are leading to the prosecution of journalists like Georgia Fort, like journalists like Don Lemon, and activists all over the world. And so if any of you are in support of these people, you have relationships with these people, call these people. Where is the church at to say this is not what we stand for, and you're not doing this in the name of God, and you're not doing this in the name of faith, right? Free Georgia Fort immediately.
Hi everyone,
I just want to say, like, she's right. It's time to get organized. Now is the time. It is a call to not be silent. It is a call to get organized. Our hope is in organizing. Our hope is not in any one person. It's not in any one leader. It is in organizing in community with one another. Our hope is our community, but it requires us to step up and become a part of it. Requires us to step up and do our part to organize. So join your local Dems, join your local DSA. If you need help doing it, we have folks in our community who can help you do that. Reach out to Gamergy for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. Let's get organized in every corner of this country yesterday. Let's do it.
I'm the editor at the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder located in South Minneapolis. But before then, I worked with Black Press, and then I worked with the Center for Broadcast Journalism. Georgia was the reason and is the reason why I'm doing the work today. She paved the way for me. I worked directly with her. I was the first person that was hired by her. She saw something in me, and I saw something in her because she was the only person on the ground, in my opinion, when the uprising was happening. And I told her I'd write for her for free. And so we were on the ground together. And she was like, hey, I'm just starting this company, but do you want to write for me part-time? And then that became full-time. I've worked on branding with Georgia. I've sat with her on many meetings, and I just refuse to allow any narrative to be painted about her that isn't positive, that isn't reflective of who she is. She is a leader. She's a truth teller. She's the most consistent person I know. She's very consistent since I first met her to today, and her goal has always been illuminating what needs to be illuminated, illuminating the truth, and standing by that, even if it means putting her in the position that she currently is today. Her value.
One-eyed atheist, I will say that there is a very large faith community here who has been doing excellent work on the ground, who have been putting themselves on the front lines to protest what this administration is doing with ICE, with what they are doing all across this state. They have been turning up to do sit-in boycotts at the Target headquarters, and in the hundreds. They've been turning up and getting arrested at the international airport here.
All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle. So be the candle. They can't put us all out.
They've been turning up and like getting shot at by cops on the front lines. Like they have been turning up. And it is not it's not enough either. Like there are a lot of churches in the area that are silent, but there's a large coalition of organized faith leaders. I forget what their organization is called, but they've been showing up, and it's been a good presence at protests. And Sorry You're Blue, thank you for the $5 super chat. Very much appreciated.
Is courage, and so I'm following in her footsteps, even though this is not my lane right here, standing right here. But I think it's really important for us all to come together. I also think it's important that you really decide if your constitutional rights are worth putting your life on the line for, because that's the position that we're put in today. Georgia's amazing. I love her, and I know that her.
Oh, there are, as somebody who grew up here in the faith, I can tell you there are a lot of bad churches around here too. But specifically in the Twin Cities area, there's a really large interfaith coalition of a wide variety of different faiths that work together on progressive social issues, and generally are pretty good on a lot of things.
Her rewards will come back and overcome this, because she's done nothing but fulfill her duties as a journalist, and as an amazing journalist at that. So I just wanted to come here and say that Georgia needs to be released, not for any other reason other than she just did her job, and she did it pretty damn well.
Yes, she did.
That the reason that was our last speaker is because that's Georgia's legacy. That's her legacy.
Yes.
When we talk about the work that Georgia Fort does in this community, she makes it so that people can come behind her.
Yes.
And do this sometimes thankless job.
Yes.
Y'all need to be real about this. I don't see enough of my colleagues standing up and speaking out.
Listen.
And it's beyond frustrating, it's infuriating that we as journalists aren't taking this as seriously as it is. And maybe if you'd have listened to us a little bit longer, a while back, we wouldn't be here in the first place.
Right.
But now here we are. So if you have questions.
What's the charges that they're actually bringing up against her?
Good question.
Good question, right.
Very good question. We do not know at this moment.
We do know now. It's conspiracy.
On days when I feel exhausted, like my spite has burned out, or feel overcome with fear, or feel my fight is diminishing, I still do not lose hope, for I remind myself, you are still alive, aren't you? This is not the end.
Hell yeah. Masked Songbird, thank you for the $20 super chat. Incredibly generous. Thank you very much. And, the rest of this is taking questions. Obviously still worth watching for sure, but I wanted to make sure we saw all of those speakers. It's, I think, a really important press conference. One that, is unfortunately not viewed by that many folks. This has about 26,000 views, which is not nothing, but this should be seen in every corner of the country. That this should be seen everywhere so that folks understand what is happening here in the Twin Cities, what the Trump administration is actually doing here. And it has nothing to do with, immigration. It has nothing to do with, customs and borders. It has nothing to do with any of that. It is entirely fear and intimidation and silencing and a constant desire to violate every single part of the Constitution in order to demonstrate that they can do it. In order to invalidate your rights and in order to put us in our place, to demonstrate that they can get us, regardless of what rights are written on a piece of paper. But they forget that we are the ones who make and enforce those rights. It is us, the people doing this work day in, day out, the people who are showing up day in and day out, who work together, who live in community with each other. We are the ones that make this society real. And right now, they are abusing the rules that have allowed our society to thrive. Right now, they are acting with impunity. They are acting as if they will never be held accountable. But that is because they are naive in their evil. They are woefully unprepared for what happens when we, the working people of America, start waking up and showing up. And that's what I'm asking, I guess, from each and every one of you at the end of the day. It's to wake up and to show up. Understand what the problem is, and then show up however you can, however you are, to help solve that problem. There are more of us than there are of them. They cannot arrest us all, and we will prevail. We will, in fact, as long as we give enough of a shit and enough of us show up, we can do anything. And we can do better than just stop the bad things. We can build something better than what came before. Our goal does not end on merely ending the oppression and tyranny of the present moment. Our goal lies way beyond this, beyond the city on the hill. We're going to build something better. Better than any one of us could ever dream. We're going to build something that all of us dream together. I want you guys to hold on to hope. It is imperative that you hold on to that hope, that hold on to that long vision of where we're going. Without our brains and muscle, not a single wheel of their agenda can turn. All that being said, folks, I will say I'm going to link here a support page for Georgia Fort, because Georgia Fort obviously does not have the same resources. Someone like Don Lemon. Give Georgia Fort some dollary dues if you can. And if you can't, please share that link around on your various social media channels and echo the call for support for Georgia Fort. She's going to need help with legal protection, obviously, as things go forward from here. But I do want to say, issues like what is happening right now, the arrest and detention of journalists, these are things that are starting to break through, even with folks who are possibly the densest and most intractable people alive. And of course, I am talking about our elected Democrats in Congress.
And lawless agents who are brutalizing everyday Americans and law-abiding immigrant families, targeting them violently in violation of the law, should be investigated and prosecuted independently of the Department of Justice. We cannot trust the Department of Justice. They're an illegitimate organization right now under the leadership of Pam Bondi and the direction of Donald Trump. And so, if anything, the events of today reinforce, as it relates to the Department of Justice targeting journalists and part of the free and fair press, that the Department of Justice cannot be trusted to freely and fairly work through the criminal justice system.
You know what? I'll take it. I'll take Hakeem Jeffries straight up saying you can't trust the Department of Justice anymore in response to Pam Bondi having these journalists arrested. You know, I think that that's good. I think that that's actually a really significant move for someone who is such an institutionalist like Hakeem Jeffries. You know, he's not wrong, but the fact that he is actively conforming to the reality is unusual for congressional Democrats. You know, and I will count that as movement, and that movement is really important. And I will also say shout out to Chris Murphy here in the Senate, who's doing good work as well. Here he is putting out a little a video about the situation.
If you haven't understood what's happening, then the arrest of Don Lemon and Georgia Fort and the seizure of the ballots in Georgia should make it crystal clear. These are Stalinist tactics. This is a president who is wildly unpopular and knows that the only way that he can keep power in November is to steal the election, to try to destroy the First Amendment, to try to scare journalists and protesters into staying silent. This is why we cannot fund the Department of Homeland Security unless it starts behaving lawfully. That will involve serious reform. It's frankly why I haven't been supporting budgets for agencies like the Department of Justice, because without checks on their lawlessness, citizens and journalists all across America are at risk.
True.
We shouldn't be funding a federal government that is out of control. We should use...
True. So, Chris Murphy, do you think we should pay our taxes? I'd love a follow-up question about that.
Use our power to demand reforms, as we are right now with the Department of Homeland Security. But we should not be cheap dates, because if we sit back and choose to fund the operations of the federal government instead of standing up for free speech, standing up against censorship, standing up for the right to mobilize and protest, well, there's not going to be a democracy there for us in November. This is a serious moment. We have an opportunity to draw a line in the sand when it comes to this fight over the Department of Homeland Security budget and the increasing abuse of power from this White House today, trying to suppress the ability of journalists to tell the truth about what's going on. That's what happens in Russia. That's what happens in totalitarian states. That's not what happens in the United States of America.
Hey, Chad, is this bad? Is it bad that members of Congress are talking about the theft of the election? Oh boy. So yeah, we are staring down a situation where they're elected members of Congress are worried about the election being stolen, and that leaves us in again, what I keep coming back to over and over and over again over the past year is that fundamentally the acts of the authoritarian regime do not change what our job is. Because our job is to get more and more organized. Our job is to continue to work more and more with one another and to keep getting more and more organized. Our job doesn't change, in light of, Donald Trump is trying to steal the elections. Well, the solution to that is for us to get more organized so that we can respond however we need to when he tries to come and steal the elections in order to oppose that effort. It requires us to get organized however we can. And so I guess to me, it's all of this is so complicated and so simple at the same time, right? Not doom posting. I don't think I'll make it to see the city on the Hill, but for those who come after, eh? Well, that's the thing, GGGGG. None of us will ever see the end state of whatever we hope to see, which is very frustrating to me personally. But we plant trees we will never see the shade of, We plant seeds that will grow into great oaks that we will never experience in summer. And so, but that's not a reason for us not to plant. It's not a reason for us not to move forward. It's not a reason for us to shrug our shoulders and stop. For those who come after, exactly. For our kids, for our kids' kids, for our friends, we have to keep pushing forward. I think that that's actually something that's really beautiful. That we are all collectively at work on a project that is of such beauty that we cannot even begin to conceive of it. That together we are building a future that is worth fighting for and so beautiful we can't even articulate it. It is beyond any one of our powers to envision it. It is beyond any one of our powers to bring it about. But when we work together towards that common goal, we can make it real anyway. And that is what building society is, that's what it is at the end of the day. It's an almost magical thing, even if we understand the basic mechanisms. and it's no magic at all. The fact that a lot of us are allowed to even be the things we are at all is the shade of the tree that people long ago planted. True. Very true. We currently enjoy the shade of trees planted long ago by people who never knew us, but who hoped one day we would enjoy the sun and the shade. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and so we must become giants ourselves for those who come after us. I love all of you, and I understand, you know, this seems like a weirdly hopeful way to end such a dire happening, you know, a dire segment of news. Like, objectively, what happened today is horrible. Like, we are seeing new lows from the Trump administration. We are seeing greater abuses. But I guess what I'm also seeing is that in response to all of those new lows and new abuses, the community comes together even more tightly, even more strongly, even more numerously. And I don't think they can win. You know, I think at the end of the day, what we're looking at, for all of their armed might coming at us in the middle of the night to try and spirit us away with trumped up charges for the crime of just viewing and reporting things, is where we're at now, my mind keeps going back to this. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. That's what I keep coming back to. I keep coming back to this crowd in the snow. I keep coming back to Minnesotans showing up in negative 40-degree wind chills. I keep coming back to the fact that we got us. And that the kind of movement we are building is bigger than any one person. And that is a strength. Because there's nothing an authoritarian government loves more than to try and take out one influential leader who seems to be running the whole shebang. But in this case, there is no one leader. You know, the No King's March would still go on if Ezra Levin disappeared tomorrow. And, you know, hopefully he doesn't. But, you know, like the marches that have been happening in Minneapolis over the last couple weeks, they would still go on if any one individual was disappeared. I believe that we will win. And I hope you'll all join me in that belief. With that being said, folks, let me know what you think down in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Get organized. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA. If you need help, we can help you do it. Reach out to GamerG for DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for your local Dems. We need to radicalize our Dems. We need to make our DSA more effective. Get involved today and start showing up, okay? We need to get ready for ICE. We need to get ready for wherever these people are going to show up. And also, we need to keep each other safe and keep our democracy secure. All that being said, folks, last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Tested on cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. And it's non-tucking lingerie. It's super comfortable. It is super fashionable. It provides great support. And I will also say, buying trans femme lingerie, it'll make the fascists mad. So check it out. Link down in the doobly-doo. And I will see you all next time.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. novelties daily, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.